Hi everyone, John O'Leary from Horse Problems Australia, and welcome to this week's podcast, which is about two subjects. One being the discipline of the horse, and when can you discipline the young horse. Here we have a young starter that I handed over to my wife 3 days ago. This is a lovely horse, extremely quiet, very nice indeed, but highly domesticated. And after 3 days flat work on the arena, she suddenly realised that she wants to take Mrs. Horse Problems on, and this is the shootout from the OK Corral. When can you discipline the young horse? Only when they understand what crime they have committed, of course. And clearly this young filly, who's expressing herself nicely here, understands completely that she's being a little tart, and understands completely what she wants to achieve, and that is exit the arena. Now there are a number of messages in this film, one being about the discipline of horses, and when you get challenged by a young starter, and almost all of them do at varying times during the first 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how domesticated they are or how sport they may have been in their previous life prior to going to the trainer, you can just forget the career. The career would be finished on that day if you didn't win. So right here, right now, it's win at all costs. Otherwise, no normal rider, no amateur owner, and indeed the owner of this horse, who was a mature age lady, will never ride this horse again. And this is the sort of thing that causes horses to end up at the abattoirs dead, because the trainer didn't win the Battle of Wills when the chips were down. Now, the second message here is about the lateral mouth. As I said, I handed this horse over 3 days ago, and I have, and I always do, put a top lateral mouth on a horse for the protection of my wife and myself, of course, because we don't bounce that well, and it is utilised to stop the young horse bucking, or any horse bucking. My new DVD, which is about to be released next week, which is on remouthing the horse, is about stopping the mature horse bucking also. However, you've noticed that Mrs. HP has stopped this little filly bucking several times already on this podcast. But you'll also notice that she did not use the one range stop or the lateral mouth to try and control the rear. It is not for that. It is for stopping bolting or bucking. Anyhow, game is almost over on this little filly here, and you can see she's now starting to forget running out of the arena, and she's basically given up with a little bit left, but it's only half-hearted now because her respect of the rider is lifting, and pretty soon it'll be all over, and we'll have a normal horse who'll probably never do it again. Had the horse not have been taken on this day, it would have done it for the rest of its life, but the owner wouldn't have been able to ride her anyhow. In a moment you're going to see the rider, as I said, a mature age lady rider who hasn't ridden for a while, actually ride this horse off our property. We delivered her home to another equestrian centre on a 80 km/h speed suburban road, and this filly, who is basically bomb-proof underneath it all, hit the front after 200 metres and led the ride. So this podcast has been about the discipline of the young starter, the power of the lateral mouth, and the fact that if you let them get away with things in the formative time, you can forget going on in their career, because it'll come back and bite you on the bum. Amateur people can rarely ride a buck jumper and almost always hit the ground. That of course equals the major victory in the young horse and normally the end of the proceedings in terms of security going forward. This system of having a light lateral mouth with a good mouthing system provides security for the amateur rider to be able to get the head of the horse around and therefore discipline it and retain the integrity of its training in safety if they're willing to learn the techniques involved in the speed of rein handling. Finally, I have to tell you that I can't remember the last time a young horse did anything wrong towards me out of the arena. Amateur owners like to stay in the arena, that's their cocoon, their security blanket. It is your worst nightmare, remember it. Both of the horses we're on were broken in last week. Kind regards to you and your horses.